So doctors told me that there's no cure for fibromyalgia, but I've made a full recovery and I'm convinced other people can too. It was like someone turned the off switch to my body. My whole body went into shutdown. I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive, I couldn't do anything anymore. My whole life had been taken away from me. My muscles were so weak I couldn't even lift my own water bottle up to my mouth because it was so heavy, and my muscles would just sort of shake under the tension of it. I had no sense of balance, so if I did need to sort of shuffle around the house, I would have to hold onto the walls literally for my dear life, because my head would sometimes just start spinning really fast and I would lose my sense of balance and fall over. I had no sense of independency. Literally in a matter of weeks, I went from really happy and healthy. I was seeing friends, traveling, working full time, and yeah, my life got completely taken away from me. My symptoms were really quick to settle in. I think it only took about a few weeks for my symptoms to get worse and worse and worse, right up until the point I was bedbound. So when I was bedbound, I was just so confused as to what was happening to me. I thought, how is this happening to me? What is wrong? Something major must be wrong for this to be happening to my body. I mean, I had memory issues as well. I couldn't even talk to anybody because I couldn't hold the conversation or the thoughts long enough in my head to reply. And sometimes I would just blank out completely what people said to me. You could sit in front of me and ask me how I am, and I'd just be staring at you like, what's happening? Are they going to ask me anything? Why are they just staring at me, not realizing that you've already asked me how I am? But I just couldn't remember anything. That made it really challenging. It made me feel really dissociated with the world. I struggled to sort of connect with people, and it meant I couldn't have normal conversations as well, so that was quite lonely. The other impacts I had on my mind was brain fog, so my mind was really slow. It took me ages to sort of form my thoughts and think about what I was going to say. I mean, I struggled to even read because it just required so much mental energy, and it was like just walking through this dark cloud and not being able to see straight. The other symptoms that I experienced were pain and fatigue. So pain and fatigue are the two main symptoms of fibromyalgia. So they're both chronic pain and fatigue, and the only way I can sort of describe the pain to you is, okay, so it's like somebody's grabbed both their hands and I've just delved into your muscle and your tissue and your bones, and I just sort of getting in there and wringing it out as if you're wringing out the water out of a cloth. So it's really sort of sensitive and grindy, and that was, for me, that pain was everywhere. So when I first told my mum the sort of symptoms I was experiencing, she said, okay, where does it hurt? And I said, it hurts everywhere. The pain was in my face, like in my neck, like between my shoulders. For me, like, it was mostly concentrated in my wrists and my ankles, but yeah, everywhere. My thighs, my calves, like the chest area, like it just ran down what felt like through my entire nervous system. So I was sort of aware what was going on. I understood something like terrible was happening to my body. Something was really wrong. I needed some medical assistance, which is when I got taken to the doctors. Yeah, the symptoms were an absolute struggle for me. The fatigue side of things, what that meant was, okay, so fatigue isn't like tiredness. Fatigue is more like, okay, imagine you have the flu, and on top of that, imagine you're hungover, and then on top of that, imagine that you're like stuck in mud, and you're like stuck in this really muddy, dense water, and your entire body is plunged under. So that means every single movement, whether it's just moving your arm, whether it's turning to the side, moving your leg, it takes so much energy and so much strength to make the smallest of movements, and that's what fatigue is. So it's just this really debilitating, tiring, draining symptom. So fibromyalgia is described by chronic pain and chronic fatigue mainly, and then all the other symptoms that I described to you, so sort of the memory issues, the brain fog, the dizziness. What then sort of happened was, I mean, obviously I was really happy and healthy, and then everything got taken away from me, so it was a massive adjustment. And I was really struggling with the pain. It was challenging for me day in, day out, being in pain every single day of every second, which is really hard to imagine, by the way. If you haven't experienced being in pain every single day. But yeah, that took a massive toll on me, and what that meant was I struggled with mental health issues very quickly. So I very much fell into depression and really severe anxiety very quickly, just as I tried to grapple with the changes that were happening to my body and sort of understand what was happening and why it was happening. Nobody knows what causes the symptoms, let alone how to get better from it or manage your day to day. That's what I really struggled with. This is why it's so important for me to make these videos, to shed light on the experience of people who are otherwise supposedly happy and healthy and have had their lives taken away from them and are struggling with a chronic condition, and what it's like to experience lots of symptoms like chronic pain and fatigue. And hopefully these videos will help you understand what it's like for other people and sympathise with them. If you're someone who has fibromyalgia yourself, hopefully this video gives you sort of reassurance and validation that what you're going through is completely normal. I do understand that people who have fibromyalgia will experience lots of different types of symptoms and different severities as well. I believe mine was quite intense and severe because I was bedbound. I mean, I was horizontal for 90% of the day. The only times you would see me moving is literally to sit up and eat or go to the toilet. There was nothing else. I couldn't even brush my hair because firstly it was painful to do that anyway, because I was like touching like different parts to my body and like triggering those sort of symptoms. And also the hairbrush was so heavy, like I just didn't have the muscle. The sort of weakness that I had to my body just didn't let me do the normal things that I used to do, so I was very much dependent on round the clock help. Thankfully my mum was a star and reduced her hours at work to be able to look after me. Okay, if you've liked this video or if you've learnt something new, press like, and if you subscribe, it means we can help other people who are going through chronic pain and fatigue or who have fibromyalgia themselves. In my next video, I'm thinking of explaining why our bodies produce pain signals and understanding the link between the brain and the nervous system, how pain signals travel and why they're produced. I feel like that's really important to start explaining to you guys how fibromyalgia in my experience works.